We live in a confusing day. There are many questions in our culture as Americans especially, and potentially around the world. We're losing sight of a few key core understandings of human existence. One of those is the actual God-intended definition of manhood. Manhood is an experience and a journey as we all grow from boys to men. But in our world today, there are a lot of extra obstacles and misdirections that are coming into the lives of young boys. And the whole question of what is a man? Our daughters need to know, as they're growing, what they should expect. What is a man? What did God intend when He created a man and a woman? In Men Arise, we have a call to godly manhood. The two parts are godly and manhood. What is this manhood? How do we know if we have achieved this thing called manhood? The American manhood has become diluted in its definition and confusing in how do we portray it in our world. Do you have to be so tall? Do you have to drive a certain vehicle? Do you have to have a haircut that matches a certain thing? How do you know that it's a man? There are markers we all look for. But there were some things God created and the Bible gives us illustrations of. In a book I read when I was raising sons in my home, in a book called Raising a Modern Day Knight, there was a concise definition. And it used a comparison between Jesus, a fulfillment of God's design for man, and Adam, a failure as created and his purpose lost as a man. How did this happen? And what did it look like? I won't go into all of the details, though I could quote you 4 things very fast that were in that book. One would be, the first thing in a real man is he rejects passivity. The second, he accepts responsibility. The third, he leads courageously. And the last, he expects a reward. All of these demonstrated in failure or in fulfillment through the two Adams, Adam the first and Christ the second Adam. We are called in the New Testament to be conformed to the image of Christ. And for us men, that includes how He demonstrated masculinity. The first is found in Genesis chapter 3. We know the story where Eve is tempted by the serpent and she sees that the tree is good for food. And so she partakes, and in the verse 8 of chapter 3, it says, and she gave to her husband with her. The interesting thing about the statement, with her, the linguists tell us, those who've studied the languages of original texts, that phrase literally meant a location, not a participation. He ate and was right there. He was there with her. And yet, he allowed that temptation to continue. Our first understanding of when we become a man is we reject passivity. Now, we're not talking about macho manhood that dominates over others. But we definitely, as men, need to accept the call to assert ourselves into issues of life around us, and especially with our family. If you look in Revelations chapter 13, you find that Jesus accepted the purpose of being a sacrificial lamb for His creation from the very beginning. He was the lamb slain from the foundation of the earth. He accepts that, and He asserted Himself into our creation. As men, we should reject passivity and accept the example that Jesus Christ presents for all of us.